CrossRoad is a 10-day summer program for high school juniors and seniors to explore their unique and ongoing call to love God with their heart, soul, mind, and strength, and to love their neighbor as they love themselves.
Welcome to Chicago.
All right, it's day one, checking people in. We've got 18 participants here so far. There you are. And what's your screen time? All right, 5 more drive-ins and a couple of late airport drop-offs, and we'll be starting the day here. Vespers and icebreakers and the story of vocation. I am so excited. Here we go again.
CrossRoad is a 10-day academic summer institute for Orthodox high school juniors and seniors, students who are Orthodox Christians from all different backgrounds and jurisdictions. We host our program at a college campus, and we explore the idea of, and really the reality of our journey and in vocation as Christians, both as unique individuals and as Christians who Christ has called to be like Him.
All nations surrounded me, but in the name of the Lord I cut them off. God is the Lord, and He revealed Himself to us. Blessed is He who comes in the name of the Lord.
This is the Lord's doing, it is marvelous in our eyes.
The 3 stages of CrossRoad are who am I, who is God, and who is my neighbor. So for who am I, we go through a battery of essentially tests to see what are the gifts that we've been given, what are the talents that we have, what are the strengths that we can work on and build up and use to serve God and to serve our neighbor.
The question is not, is His presence there? The question is my presence there? And so when we think about who am I, hopefully we recognize that we are a child of God who is so loved.
Usually in Who Am I, we'll do icebreakers, get to know each other so everybody knows everyone's name.
I'm Enlightened Elias.
Hi, Enlightened Elias.
That's enlightened Elias. I'm kangaroo-ish Katie.
Hi, kangaroo-ish Katie.
Eloquent Elizabeth. And I'm
Rodeo Rouse. Eloquent Elizabeth. Thoughtful Theodora.
Super Sax. Energetic Eric.
That's a great question. I know.
We'll do team building activities together, oftentimes like a ropes course or another kind of fun event that gets everybody thinking about their talents and skills and working together in a group of people.
So, ready, set, go.
You can't steal from other people's soup? You can.
What are you doing? Put it back.
Sometimes the focus in the world is to only notice all your imperfections and to focus on your weaknesses. But something that we start off with at CrossRoad is actually acknowledging what are my God-given talents and what are the things that I naturally gravitate towards, and maybe how can I expand those God-given talents by investing more time in developing them.
Here comes the next one.
You do many activities that allow you to explore those 5 unique characteristics that you have and how they tie together and how they help you progress in certain places and how you can use them as an individual.
CrossRoad is
by far and away about the relationship you have with yourself, with God, and with your neighbor than any sort of textbook knowledge or book knowledge.
Actually, we're not bad, so just keep lowering slowly. Wait, stop.
3 people need to put all of their weight on that end. There it gets kind of...
Push him in the right direction. Yeah. Wait, am I on this? Like the
Yeah.
knot?
I would put up on the knot, yeah.
Okay. Whenever you're ready, go.
Okay, we're done.
All right.
I learned that I'm more of a listener and follower. One thing I learned is just better communication.
I also learned that usually if you have a good idea, people are open to hear you out.
It gears you towards what you're looking for as an individual and how that can serve God and how that can serve your neighbor.
So Be Still time, we do it after Orthros in the morning, and it's 10 or 15 minutes where the participants intentionally go off on their own and have time with God, essentially.
Just somewhere quiet and just sit peacefully with God. You know, breathe in, breathe out. You can journal a strange thought, they can pray. The idea is to be silent and still, you know, both physically, but also, you know, mentally, spiritually. You know, quiet your thoughts and really just kind of listen.
It's a time for anything that you need at that moment to get some rest, not necessarily in the physical sense of sleep, but in order to calm your heart, calm your spirit, focus on who you're interacting with, what you're doing in that moment, what your purpose is.
Everything is a gift from God. Breath is a gift from God. So the idea to meditate is a gift from God. The actual doing meditation is a gift from God. So prayer is basically laying aside our thoughts, our needs, our desires. But it's really not a lot about blah, 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 blah. It's about trying to settle down, be quiet, and allow God to speak in us, and He does. Basically, prayer is listening to God.
Part of that is to help our CrossRoaders understand the essential role of silence and of contemplation in our lives, to learn to cultivate that and kind of hopefully help kickstart them in that practice of, you know, daily time to intentionally listen to God.
In my opinion, what's the most important single sentence in the whole Old Testament? I would say Exodus 14:14.
Everyone has a vocation, right? Vocation from the Latin vocare, to call. Well, you begin to wonder, who called me?
Who is God? We have professors come in who teach the participants theology, and this is a great opportunity for the participants to interact, ask all the questions that they've been wondering or that they've been hearing. A great opportunity to learn more from great minds who think critically about the faith and how it applies to the modern world.
If each of us is moving towards the center is God, as we move to the center, we also are becoming closer to each other, right? So it's inevitable that my journey towards God, it's never just mine, my own, my trip, you know. Go away from me, this is my journey to God. You know, it's never like that. It's always a journey with each other.
Professors who lead sessions touch on lots of subjects that are very prevalent, common questions and issues that the participants may be having, just to help understand better what it all means.
And we'll also be visiting parishes to kind of understand and see the Orthodox tradition, our Orthodox faith in other traditions, to get a bigger picture of the church and to have a chance to ask some questions from priests and people who, who are further along their spiritual journey.
You can't know God without knowing love, without knowing community, without knowing your neighbor, right? Christ says very explicitly, whenever you loved your neighbor, you loved me, right? We see Christ when other people who are made in the image and likeness of God, when we look at them.
We'll visit other Orthodox churches and just across all jurisdictions, venerate saints, kind of the deep dive into who is God.
We get more into the teachings of the church, the teachings of the Holy Fathers, and really answer those academic questions that the teenagers are struggling with.
And that's the fundamental point that I want to get from this passage, is that Paul recognizes, and that, by the way, this is in his letter to the Romans, to the city of Rome, to people living in the heart of the Roman Empire. And he's telling them, the true enemy is not the empire, although Paul will not have nice things to say about them. The true enemy is the sin that keeps us down, the thing we struggle with. Every time we try to stand up, it tries to pull us down. And the only true way out is the victory brought by Jesus through his death.
What used to kind of be the big misconception was that, CrossRoad was the most academically rigorous place. People would have questions, they'd come here and we'd answer them. But CrossRoad less answers these questions and more makes people aware of just how big the world is around them, how big Christ is, and how big one's love for one's neighbor can be.
After you gain an understanding of who you are, you also gain an understanding of who God is. And after all the lessons, you turn into the conversation of who is your neighbor.
If you cannot find Christ in a beggar at the church door, you will not find him in a chalice.
Like if you're not feeling love, to just act it out and God will gift it to you.
A heart unwilling to give love is also unwilling to receive it.
Who is My Neighbor really focuses on outreach and going out and encountering the neighbors of wherever we are.
Everyone is a neighbor to you. Everyone is your brother and sister. Even if they don't treat you like their brother or sister, you still have to treat them like one.
Looking at who our neighbor is, like the elderly or houseless people, and then actually doing outreach and encountering those people in the world.
Getting to have peers here that know so much and are so well versed and are so passionate, it's been really nice to get to have people teach me about my faith that are my own peers.
And by taking on our suffering, he also made it holy. He made our suffering become something that actually helps us in our salvation, that actually with Christ's incarnation, our suffering is made holy and sanctified. Sometimes in our struggles, right, we develop an experience, we develop compassion and empathy for other people. So not only is struggle just about ourselves, but it really is about our neighbors and using whatever it is we've gone through to help those who will eventually or have already gone through something similar.
An instance where somebody came to him and St. Paisios sat down and listened for 9 hours. 9 whole hours, he just sat there and he listened because this person had so much to say, so much to get off their chest. It was just spilling out. And he was willing to sit there for a whole day, more than a work day, just listening because that was a gift he had to offer.
For me, it was hard to enter back into the normal world after CrossRoad, and leaning on my friends was something that really helped me.
Sometimes it can feel discouraging to leave such an amazing, warm community, but we have to trust in God's providence and do our part in creating that warm, inviting, Christ-centered community.
God has made us to live a life of abundant joy. That's one of the main reasons that Christ came, is to help us have joy and teach us a great way to live. Listen to that in your life and consider the things that make you joyful in the choices you make with your time.
When you think you've prayed enough, pray some more. Especially when things get hard. It's easy to forget about prayer when you leave CrossRoad, but that's one of the most important things we can do.
You don't have to have an answer for your career. A career is not a destination. Our vocation happens every day, and that is in how I encounter and love my neighbor today, how I make time for Christ today and walk with Him today. And so just to remember to focus on today, not a distant future job or a future thing you're going to arrive at. Our life happens right now.
1, 2, 3.
Just one lesson I learned that I never want to forget is that God speaks to us in silence. And I feel like especially going home, the world gets so much louder. And a lot of the times the tendency is to sort of run towards the noise, but I want to try to remember to tune it out.
When I first got to CrossRoad, I immediately felt so connected to everybody and felt like I belonged. I never want to forget to look for the good and see the light of Christ within everybody.
One lesson that I don't want to forget is to give and love as freely as I can and to not compartmentalize my life because I'm always an Orthodox Christian.
Time doesn't have to be full of motion and activity to be well spent, and only in the silence of prayer can we hear God.
I've had a lot of fun with everybody, and I've truly loved every moment with all of you.
Forever treasure the friendships I have made here. Among these wonderful people, I have felt loved beyond words. I have felt safe and accepted even in my vulnerability, and through this love I feel as if I can say I have truly felt the love of Christ.
Don't forget to lean on each other. When times get hard, it's really easy to feel isolated. Don't forget this feeling that you have right now, this community, because this will get you through.
And I just hope and pray that you remember how important it is to hold on to each other and to hold on to Christ. He will strengthen you, and then He will even continue to strengthen you in your bonds with one another that you've cultivated here.
And you will go into the world and you will fall. You will be tempted. But Christ built His church with His disciples. So just think what He'll do with you.